So what is the sound of one hand clapping? Well, today we're going to find out. Okay, so you've heard the question to the point that you've probably searched for it and found this video if you're not already subscribed, and you're wondering what is the sound of one hand clapping, or what does that answerless riddle even mean? Well, here's the reality. It is a riddle that is designed not to have an answer that you can put your mind around. Of course, we could make the stupid joke, oh, look, one hand clapping. But the reality is the teaching behind this riddle is much more profound. Now, Buddhism from a 50,000-foot view isn't a religion. It is a science of mind control that allows you to reduce your pain and suffering. Because the reality is, things that happen in the world aren't really what get our goat. It's not what creates our turmoil. What creates our turmoil is how we react to stuff, how we allow our mind to churn between our ears in reaction to the things that have happened in the world. It's us thinking that stuff should have been better, stuff should have been different. I can't believe that happened to me, blah, 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 whatever it is. And so Buddhism is this science of taking control of the mind by controlling attention, by sitting in meditation, by strengthening those muscles, which science now tells us, oh yeah, that's called plasticity. It really works. And so you can reduce your pain and suffering by taking control of your mind and creating this plasticity that allows you to be in that state most of the day or most of your life if you're really good at it. Now, Zen comes at Buddhism from a very practical perspective because the sound of one hand clapping is this thing called a Zen koan. And a Zen koan is nothing more than a riddle that doesn't have an answer. Now, why would we do that? Well, the reality is, there's a physiological reaction that occurs within the brain at the point that we cease conscious thought. Now, let's pause here for a second because I'm sure you're going to find somewhere out in the world many people who say, it's impossible to cease conscious thought. They're wrong. Flat out, I'm going to tell you, they're wrong because I've done it, a number of people have done it, I know a number of people who have done it, and it is possible. It's really, really difficult, so from their perspective, people who have never done it before will say, yes, it's impossible to cease conscious thought. But the reality is you can do it once you get into a meditation that is so deep and so profound that it allows you to then take control of your brain, and your brain starts listening to your intention, and after a while you say, stop thinking, stop thinking, stop thinking, stop thinking, and after a while your brain actually listens and does it, as is the case with most of our brain functions, because we say, think of a pink elephant, and boom, you have a pink elephant in your brain, right? Sometimes unconsciously, that's trying to proactively think of the things that you want to think about, the things that you need, because it's an organ of survival. Let's not go down that road. But the Zen koan is designed to be an answerless riddle, okay? Now, this helps us to focus our attention. If we're focusing our attention down to one thing, the Zen koan, what is the sound of one hand clapping, and we're trying to figure out what the answer of it is, well, we're focused on one thing, and that is one step away from thinking no thing, right? Now, what happens when we're thinking no thing and our conscious thought ceases? There's a chemical in our brain. It's called dimethyltryptamine. It's created within our brain. It's created within our lungs. It's created within our liver. It's created within most of the living things outside that you see in your field of vision outside your window, okay? This dimethyltryptamine is this crazy chemical substance that when released in our brain is the most powerful hallucinogen on the planet. It creates an amazing amount of visuals. You're launched into the center of the universe. You see all the stars in its infinity. It starts with a white light. You might have heard about near-death experiences. Well, the near-death experience is triggered by the release of dimethyltryptamine in your brain. Now, here's the thing about dimethyltryptamine. It is released within your brain every night during natural periods of conscious thought ceasing. Every night during REM sleep, when you're dreaming, dimethyltryptamine is trickling out of your brain into your subconscious thought. It can occur while you're fasting, when your brain runs out of nutrients to be able to process things correctly. It can happen during bouts of exhaustion when, like, super marathoners running really long distances oftentimes will wind up hallucinating because of their brain's inability to think correctly and these chemicals releasing in the brain. It happens when your body is in extreme distress, such as in sweat lodges. And so, these spiritual, mystical experiences that people have, including this thing called Satori, or enlightenment, that Zen points to as the path to liberation. Well, these things are the result of this chemical being released during your waking hours, and you can catalyze it into happening by thinking of nothing, of no thing, which is the entire purpose of Zen, which is why they made up this answerless riddle. Because if you're focused on the one thing, and it doesn't even have an answer, you're kind of one half step away from thinking of nothing, which then triggers this physiological reaction that allows you to become or pass through the enlightenment experience. Now, you won't necessarily be fully enlightened because you have to be able to integrate that stuff into your regular life as you move forward. And so there's this whole big line between enlightenment experience and full enlightenment and becoming the Buddha, which most people will never get to, etc. But that is what the Zen Koan is designed to do. It's designed to help you give your mind something to focus on that doesn't have an answer so that you don't think. And at the point that you're not thinking, that's when this enlightenment experience or this Satori can occur due to the physiological reaction of your brain doing what it does when conscious thought ceases. Now, the Enlightenment experience itself has roots in every religion. There is a mystical offshoot within every religion. The Christians, of course, have it. They have Christian mystics. The Buddhists, of course, chase after enlightenment directly. The Sufis are the Islamic sect that chases after enlightenment directly. Kabbalah is right out of Judaism, and it used to be required teaching, chases right after enlightenment directly. This stuff is at the foundation of every major religion on the planet. And because it is this natural phenomenon that allows you to open the doors of consciousness and expand your mind into an infinite space of wisdom, intelligence, and knowledge that you wouldn't normally have. And this is this thing called, enlightenment, Satori, moksha, nirvana, dozens of words that I could bore you with at this point. But that is the focus of the Zen Koan, of all Zen Koans, because there are similar Zen Koans that don't have answers to the riddle. But if you're wondering what the answer is to the sound of one hand clapping, well, there isn't one. It's a mechanism. It's a process to help you get to the point where your mind is not thinking, period. And that allows you to then expand your consciousness into that space that creates an awesome change in your life, and a permanent one that you cannot put words around at all. You must experience it. So there you go. Hope things are well for you guys. I love you. Talk to you soon. Peace.